Hey, thanks everyone for coming. And one thing that Joe didn't say, which I would say, is who is for the first time coming to an event here? I'd like to just see the fans of, oh my gosh, fantastic. So we got a nice mix of both people who have been here before and also new folks. Welcome to everybody on both sides of that divide there. This is actually, speaking of Joe's great talents, this was Joe's great talent with an assist from Midjourney to kind of encapsulate what we're going to be talking about tonight. It's like, oh, here's our newfound kind of intelligent machine friends. We're walking down this path together, and all of a sudden, oh my God, something starts to get a little scary, a little spooky, and it gets a little creepy. And we're going to talk about tonight, what are the actual risks of generative AI? And as for those of you who were here before, you know that we've been touting a lot of the positive potential, and now we're going to actually take into account what actually could go wrong with all this stuff. But because there's half of you here, roughly, who have not been here, I'm going to give you a little kind of a recap on what we're trying to pull off here, a little bit of the context for this, and then we're going to get to a point, and I'll lay out a little bit of the groundwork of how we're going to do this in this meeting of the minds. One thing that we want to basically just say is, oh my God, here we are. Generative AI comes, opens up AI for everybody, and it really is opening up essentially what is almost really a new age of AI. And with this kind of incredible potential, kind of potential step change in kind of human capability, we also have an amazing number of, explosion of questions, all kinds of questions about what is this, how does it work, how is it going to do, all the issues around this, and explodes in kind of questions. So, okay, who's going to figure that out? Well, one of the beautiful things is we are here in Ground Zero, San Francisco, and just about the time where everybody, the media and everybody was starting to think everyone's leaving California, no one's going, San Francisco's all screwed up and failed. Of course, it's exactly the time where there's a regeneration, a rebirth, and here it is, we're starting all over again on another great journey with another kind of potentially world historical kind of technology, which probably could eclipse what happened with the early internet in the early 90s here. All the signs are pointing towards it even being a bigger deal. And so given that, we realize all the people that could really start thinking deeply about this, who are starting companies or have been through other tech booms, and basically all the different academics from Berkeley, kind of, Stanford, Singularity, all the different activists, all the different kind of folks who have been tapped into the tech world, the tech and innovation economy for so long, we need to gather them to basically start to think through this explosion of questions and wrestle into the ground. And so that's what we're doing with this series that we're doing here. And one of the things I would just say is when you get to these junctures like this with basically a general purpose technology that's just exploding into possibility right now, you get essentially two kinds of reactions to it. There's a crew that starts freaking out about it, legacy companies who have a lot to lose, all kinds of political people that start to think, oh my God, all my plans are going to go awry. You got the public freaking out, you got the media pumping that up. And I think if you had to basically evaluate it, that's been the bulk of the coverage, honestly. I would say, if you had to really say, is it more excited coverage and all the excitement that's happening, or is it the real fears and worries about it? And so I think one of the things that we're trying to do here, full disclosure, is most of the people we're tapped into here, and a lot of people that are coming here, even though we have a cautious understanding of there's issues here, are generally kind of positive and more can-do about what we can actually do with this technology. And that's been the last two events here. We've been along those sides. And I would say that struggle, though, is a big struggle. And it's going to have a lot to do with how the narrative of regulation and all kinds of things comes out of this. And so we're actually here engaging a little bit in this struggle. Now, this series which we launched at the beginning of the summer is called the Great Progression Series. It's a broader framework than just AI, but it's essentially saying that we are potentially on the beginning of a great era of progress. Far from the gloom and doom that's basically out there, there's many things, including kind of building off this incredible technology of AI, but also other technologies, synthetic biology, clean energy technologies, all kinds of things that are actually opening up possibilities now that we want to explore in this series here at SHAC, not just this year, but even to the next year too. And so we've started these three things. And so if people weren't here, we started the first one in May with what are the real implications of generative AI? Mostly was trying to assess what is the real capability here of this technology? How big a deal is it? And by the way, it was overwhelmingly positive of people saying, oh my God, this thing is kind of a bigger deal than the internet and it's something that we really got to wrap our heads on. We also talked about the near-term consequences, mostly into business in the next 2020s, and that was kind of the focus of that initial event. Last month, though, we brought people together to basically talk about the positive possibilities. The lens is about 25 years out. We were looking at how you could imagine education being transformed with kind of individual tutors for all students, how you could have the productivity rates of the whole economy boosted by essentially executive assistants for all kinds of workers. These are things that are not pie in the sky or sci-fi. They're actually now, really people are starting to really work on these things, and you can actually start opening the lens on what's possible. And then, like I say, what we're going to do today is we're going to say, it's not just Pollyannish and kind of, oh my God, everything's going to be awesome. We are going to look at the actual risks. And look at that word actual. We're not going to get into some crazy kind of talk. There's been all kinds of discussions out there. We're going to try to use the collective minds here and a group of kind of really remarkable thinkers to help us think here to actually whittle it down to what are the actual risks of generative AI, the actual ones. And so I'm going to pop out here 10 things that some of these the speakers are going to help us think about in little short 5-minute little pops. But I also want everyone here to think about these, because at the end of the night, we're going to actually vote on. Everyone's going to have 3 votes, and we're going to basically say, which of these do you think we need to focus on now and most important? And I want to get a sense of the collective wisdom here. Whether it's, okay, inaccurate hallucinations. People have basically been talking about how accurate is everything. Algorithmic biases. Is it racist or kind of misogynistic and all kinds of stuff that people are worried about. Whose intellectual property is all the training data? What about privacy and who owns what? We're kind of wrestling with. Misinformation overload. People are already worried about, hey, what's going on with social media is even going to go times 10 with this kind of AI acceleration of this. That kind of misinformation could really disrupt electoral processes in democracies. That's even already a worry for 2024. Job losses. What's going to happen with the disruption around that? Job losses. Social inequalities. Is this going to re-tier the society or even make it more extremely unequal? And not just in social classes, but around the world, between developed and developing worlds. Security attacks, both the corporate security attacks, but also kind of cyber war in between countries and stuff. And what will AI do that? Then there is, even though we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, people do talk about, oh my God, what happens if this gets in the hands of the wrong people, terrorists, bad guys, and could we get something unleashed on the planet that could literally lead to extinction? And the final one, which again, we're not going to spend too much time on, is to what extent with the singularity will AI kind of be our overlords? And we laugh about it here, but in fact, that is really what people are out there talking about. And some serious kind of tech folks do this. So look at this, remember this. We're going to get some insights with these little shots of 5-minute insights with people who can give us different perspectives on this. Now that's the final answer. But in fact, just starting to make you think, and then in the end, we're going to come around back to it and also have a few little interaction back and forth with some of the people in the audience here, too, to wrap it up. Now, here's the deal. Nobody knows all these answers, right? And so what we decided to do, and Joe and I formed this company called Reinvent Futures. We said we got to bring together kind of a meeting of the minds, just what I call the A-team, all of the different folks, basically some of the smartest, most innovative, most knowledgeable people in the Bay Area region that's really been through enough of these things, and help us figure this thing out. And then so when we came, okay, well, we need some partners in this, and so we came to Shack 15, which is Shack here. I don't know if Natasha's here or anybody, the Shack folks here, but Shack had said, let's partner with Shack. They said, absolutely, let's gather this, use this as a space. Look at this awesome place, folks. By the way, look at that bridge there. I mean, is there a better place to kind of hold a conversation like this? It's got to keep us thinking positive. The other hand, what we wanted, it's not, thank you for the shout out there for the partners, Shack 15. But the other thing is we wanted to tap into this next generation of the Gen AI founders and builders that are just streaming into this city and that are exploding all around us here. And so we actually, there's an organization called Cerebral Valley. It's kind of playing on this idea of what Cerebral Valley is kind of getting branded here in San Francisco around that. And these folks literally are the folks that essentially have just been becoming a touchstone for all the different hackathons, all the different kind of things that are happening, parties, gatherings, meetups around this. And we've tapped into them to actually create the cream of the crop of their networks in here. And a lot of them are in here tonight. And so you're going to hang out with them, actually, particularly as we have this party later tonight. But folks are here. And we actually needed sponsors, not just for the kind of resources for this, but their networks. And so we have a great collection here. We got Autodesk, got Stephanie here. Stephanie kind of brought together the Autodesk money and network into this. We got Slalom here. Slalom's here tonight. They've been bringing together some fantastic folks. And they actually had a little Pre-game here with a slalom, and actually another of our sponsors, White & Case. White & Case is Brooke here, and there we go. They also had a little kind of a meeting of the minds, a small one, and kind of trying to work out some of these issues behind closed doors here. And then Capgemini, who also is bringing together their network here, and that's a good shout out to them, is there you go. Great to see brought there. Now, anyhow, without them, we couldn't do that. Now, here's the idea. The other thing about this is we don't want to be just some kind of elite thing that it just, lives and dies here. And so we've got a 3-camera shoot here. Joe mentioned this. Basically, so you're all on camera. By coming in, you're basically signed on to this thing. We will be doing kind of video pieces of this. But here's the deal. We're also going to do a synthesis. I'll do a synthesis of what we learned here. We're going to have extended kind of quotes from the people here to kind of that'll also get out in the world through our Substack series that we launched here. But I also want to say there's a lot of media here tonight. Basically, Forbes has got two different reporters here. I know we've got at least, I think, Bloomberg here, which we were in the cover story of Business Week to start the last one. We've got, I think, Marketplace is here. I think we've got basically LinkedIn is covering here, or at least is here. So there's all different ways that these ideas can get out, not just here, but actually get beyond this. Because this is a conversation we need to help lead. This is a conversation we need to get out there. What are the real actual risks, as well as these positive possibilities?